Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Create Yourself Imagery, Intimacy, Innovation, a place where people from all walks of life and various backgrounds come to share their transformative personal and professional stories of restoration, confidence, clarity, and empowerment. I'm Joyce Kiles, your global speaker and life and leadership thriving coach. And if you're ready to transition, transform, and thrive, this is indeed the podcast for you. So today's guest, I am so pleased to have. She and I go way back. We have been friends, I think at this point, probably close to 2 decades.
Yeah.
We met through a mutual friend who um, poured into us professionally and personally. She is no longer with us, but we carry her spirit with us in all that we do. And we have continued to keep our friendship and business aspirations on track. I love her dearly as a sister, as a colleague, as a friend, as a support system for me. And I know that you will love her too. If you have not had an opportunity to get to know this woman yet, you will after today. You will be running to find out how you can connect to her because when I tell you she is all things self care and wellness, she is on top of her game. I'm so pleased to introduce to some of you and present to others none other than my friend, my colleague, my sister, self care and wellness advocate, Elizabeth Merriwether Dorse. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm
And
glad to be here, Joyce.
I'm glad to have you. And I don't know if I've said your whole name.
Well, that's all right. You know what? Actually, it's Elizabeth Dorse Merriwether.
You know what? And
Mhm.
I sure did. I've just mixed. See how long I've known you?
That's okay. That's okay.
Because for, 'cause for me, you just Liz, you know?
Right, 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 right.
And so I want to be professional, but I do want to acknowledge your whole name, your whole self. So if I say Liz again, just
That's
forgive
okay.
me, okay?
That's okay. Those I love and close to, that's what they call me is Liz. So all is well.
All right. So
Hmm.
Elizabeth Doris Merriweather, or Liz
Hmm.
as I call you,
That's it.
please share with our listening audience how long you have been doing your work and just give them a bit of an overview about who you are, and how you got started into your self-care journey and just your create yourself journey as a whole.
Okay, so Joyce, now I think it's a little more than about 10 years, and I am the owner of the Well Station, where we help busy career women to focus on self care. My thing is, and how I came up with this name, I'm always asked that is that I believe that we all have a well. Our well should be 100%, but for the most part, a lot of busy women, we are really operating off, I'm going to say sometimes less than 30%. We're just continuously pouring into others, but we don't pause intentionally to focus on ourselves. And so I wanted to make sure that I created an environment where we could support each other, that also where we could feel our well. Our tagline with the Well Station is pampered, served, and affirmed. So any in-person events that we have, you are going to be pampered. You're going to be served, and of course, we are going to give you some words of affirmation. And also any online events that we host. It's going to be the same thing. Now, it may be a little difficult to, to pamper you via online, but hey, we're still going to attempt as much as we can, but we can still serve you and still affirm you. And how I started my business is my mom passed away unexpectedly, and I could feel myself just drifting into a depression. At the time, I was the main caregiver for my mother, but I was also supporting my grandparents and also a mother. My children at the time, one was grown and the other, she was grown or an adult, and then the other was a teenager. And still working in corporate America. But what I realized was I was trying to take care of them through that whole process, but was not pausing for myself to grieve and to get myself through the process. So what I would do is I would, go somewhere, cry for a little while, then go home and attempt to take care of my family. But you can only do that so much. So as I talked about earlier, where my well was supposed to be 100%, I think I'd gotten down to 5% and had the revelation that, hey, girl, look, you can't continue at this pace. You have to do something different. And that's when, God revealed or downloaded to me that I'm not the only woman that has been, that is doing that, and that I needed to create an environment where women could get that support and just be intentional on a daily basis to focus on their self-care. So I'm always telling my clients, anybody that is connected to me, that if we stop for 15 to 30 minutes each day to focus on our self-care, to focus on our wellness, then that's going to help to support us. We know that anything that we're intentional about daily and part of our routine, then that's going to, of course, to support us. So I'm a certified life coach, and my area is wellness and self care. And I'm just excited about this because I know that self care, we used, at the time when I first started this business, we were not really talking about it. Now it is more common for people to say it. But what I find is we may do it here or there, but we are not intentional on a daily basis of doing it. And so I want the Well Station and Elizabeth Merriwether to be a reminder to women that that is something that needs to be done on a daily basis.
Liz, this is one of the reasons why I knew that I wanted to have you on the show. Um,
Hmm.
it was selfishly, for myself, because I know you're going to always share a word that's going to pour back into me. But
Hmm.
I knew that you're perfect for the podcast because so many of the listeners that we have for the show, they are women that you described.
Hmm.
And we tend to give, do. And I always talk about, us wearing these Superman capes. And I tell folks, go and burn them. Just, just burn them.
Right.
Take it or take it and make it a blanket and get on your couch and take a nap. That it is
Right.
all right for us to pour into ourselves and take care of ourselves. Because if we don't do that for us, we can't show up for other people.
Hmm.
It is tiring and it exhausting. So when you talked about this being something that needs to be intentional, I'm going to ask, of course, at the end of the show, I always ask our guests about takeaways, but that is one that I am plugging in right now that I hope the listeners take in the intentionality in which you do the work that you do. Um, and like you, years ago, people were not talking about wellness or self-care in the ways that they are now. And sometimes I still feel like it's buzzwords,
Right.
and
Right.
people are not truly understanding what it means to be holistically well, and that it is
Hmm.
more than just getting your hair done and your
Right.
nails done and a spa day. All those things are beautiful. But what
Right.
I do love about the work that you do is that you truly do pamper, serve, and affirm. And I'm going to say that even when it's online,
Mhm.
it's the energy that you bring into the room that even if I'm not getting that physical touch, but I feel like that I'm being spiritually touched, that I'm
That's
being
great.
emotionally touched. And
That's
so
great.
that helps me to feel pampered and served in that way and affirmed in that way. So I might not have the physicals at that time, but I have experienced you in a Zoom setting, on an online setting to know
Thank
that
you.
you give those things. So I knew you were the person to be here. So I want to just do a deeper dive in, I think, at this point, in terms of the services that your business does provide. So I know what some of them are because I use some of them. But for the listening audience, tell us about your products and services.
Right. Well, the products that we offer are all natural products. Because I have eczema. It's very important now. I do know that eczema is a gut issue. So we really have to work on something internally to battle eczema. But as far as our skin, I know that my skin is really sensitive. So, as I was growing up, a lot of my girlfriends, probably I'm gonna say my early 20s, 25, 22, a lot of my girlfriends would give each other Victoria's Secret, but I never could use that because my skin was so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started the well station, I knew that in addition to the services that we were, the in-person services that we were offering and my coaching programs, I knew that I also wanted to offer products. So we do have all natural soaps. We have bath salts, also sugar and oil scrubs, bath bombs, and this year we are actually rolling out our herbal tea lines. I'm
Wow, I
I
did
would
not know that. Oh,
Yeah, so
Liz,
that's
that
what
is
I've been.
wonderful.
Yes, yes, yes. So I am so excited about that because, as I just stated, with eczema, we know that it is a gut issue. So we have to start watching, what we are consuming. So I recently, I'm gonna say it's probably been a little more than a year ago, I was certified as an herbal practitioner and
Mhm.
have created some herbal teas that will soon be rolled out as well. And in addition to those products, I'm an Amazon best-selling author of a book. It's a collaboration with it's about 8 other women, I believe. And what we're doing is we're telling our story in this book of how we moved into the passions and purposes that we have. So I share my story on why I'm so passionate about self-care and really how that journey started when I was a teenager. Actually, before that, but it really, when I think back on it, I realized that when I was a teenager, there were things that had been occurring in my life that it made me, I wouldn't say timid, but it made me question the support that I now give to women. I think,
Mhm.
Joyce, you and I have had this conversation is that when you serve other people, especially women, you accept people from all different backgrounds. You accept people that have been through so many different traumas, but you
Right.
accept them as they are. And the goal is to support them because most people want to elevate, they want to be as whole as they can be. And so you want to be that vessel that says, hey, look, I was once this. I was once, my story is I was once a teenage mother that was very well connected to the church. And being well connected to the church and a teenage mother, there was a lot of hurt there. And so, that person is still within me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I share that in my story, but I have a lot of women that now you see them, they have these degrees or they're living a certain status, but they were teenage mothers that still have not worked on that particular hurt that they've experienced through their journey. And so I can say, girl, yeah, me too. I know what you mean. So
Mm-hmm.
let's try to work on this, in some of the coaching sessions or just reading that book. If you only knew how many people have responded and sent me a message just by saying, hey, I read your story. But not only my story in that book, there are some other passionate and amazing stories from other women as to how they have overcome and are really working in their passion. So that's the book. I've also released a daily journal. It's the Well Thoughts Daily Journal. Now, I'm a journaler. I've been journaling since I was a teenager, and a lot of those journals I still have. Why? Because at your lowest point, sometimes, even though, look, we're focusing on self care, but we know that it's an active thing that we're doing every day. So sometimes you have low times, or sometimes you have those times when everything is perfect, but reflect back on when things were not aligned, and so you're able to look back at those journals. You're able to say, hey, you got through this. You can definitely get through whatever is challenging you at this particular time. So I created a journal where women can, of course, release. They can talk about, what activities are they going to work with that particular day to support them in their self-care self-care journey. And then also they, what personal development are they going to participate in that particular day? How are they feeling as they're journaling? Yeah, things like that. So I'm excited about that. And also released a coloring book for women. How many times have you
Yes.
been stressed and like, I just got to release. I want to take my mind off of whatever's going on that day. A lot of us sit in front of these computers often. And if you want to reduce some of that computer time, then grab your coloring book, grab your crayons or markers, some herbal tea, and just and then put on some nice jazz. I'm a jazz woman or a neo soul woman, so you can play your music in the background and just set the atmosphere just for you to release for that particular moment. So we have a lot of things, including, as I mentioned earlier, our coaching services as well. I just released actually two, I'm sorry, it's five self-care packages, and I'm excited about those. It's really coming from
Right.
my she decided
Hmm.
mindset. There's a
Hmm.
lot of things that we say, well, I wish I would, or in 10 years I'm going to do that. Well, why not just do it now? Why not just make the decision? You decided that this is what you're going to do, and then we're going to put some action steps to help you accomplish whatever you have decided that you want to accomplish. So those are some of the things that we're doing at the well station. I'm excited about it.
And I am excited too. Now, I do remember when you got your certification, so I knew
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But this whole thing around the T's. So
Yeah.
let me just tell you, I was at a networking event like
Hmm.
just last week,
Right.
and someone asked me about meeting them for coffee, and I said, "Well, I don't drink coffee, but I love to meet you for tea."
Right.
And so it turns out, well, I don't like coffee either. I prefer tea as well. So tea has, so we're actually going to meet in a few days. But I'm
That's
sharing that
great.
to say that I love tea. And I drink it all year long. And it can be
Hmm.
110 degrees outside, but
Hmm.
because it's 91 degrees right now, like
Right.
literally right now.
Right.
But I had my tea a little while ago because I will have at least a cup in the morning, but I try to sometimes in the evenings have one
Mm.
too because it helps me to wind down. So I'm excited to hear that this is a part of, you know, what you're doing at the well station. So just know I'm going to definitely be a customer for that too. Uh, love to
Sounds
color.
good. Hmm.
I got a coloring book from you to give to a friend of mine as a gift, and I've been meaning to tell you she absolutely loves it. So
Oh,
just
thanks.
know,
I'm
yeah,
glad.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to mention that, Joyce. Now, I want to say this so everybody can hear. You are one that I know is going to go on and not only get some self-care products for yourself, but you're also going to get some gifts for others as well. So that's wonderful. Excuse me, that you are so passionate about supporting other women as well, with their
Um,
self-care.
I am. I am. Thank you for the acknowledgement of that because I'm actually working on there are two birthdays that are coming up, and they are very much into self-care, self-care needs, all the things.
Hmm.
So I plan to get some products from you for them. But yeah, I'm gonna get something for myself too. But nonetheless, I'm gonna go back to this podcast. Um, I love jazz too, neo soul, you know that. So we
Hmm.
share that in common. I love the fact that you lifted up journaling.
Yes.
Um, and I unfortunately threw away some of my old journals that I'd
Hmm.
had from years ago. And I regret that I did that because sometimes, as you said, and that was such a wonderful point to lift up, that sometimes you need to go back and just look and remind yourself too of how far you have come.
Yeah.
And there are things that I wrote in that journal that I still remember, and there are two that I threw away, but
Mm-hmm.
there's one in particular that I remember. I started reflecting back on when I was going through some things a few months back, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I am in
Mm-hmm.
such a better place and headspace
Mm-hmm.
than what I was, some years ago, that I can handle it better. I
Right.
can go through the storms with more clarity in meaning and purpose now. So I
Right.
don't throw them away now. And, the last time that you and I talked, and I shared this even before the podcast started, that you had encouraged me to start writing down specific affirmations.
Yeah.
And so I am proud to say that I have been consistently doing that,
That's
um,
great.
almost every day since
Mm-hmm.
since you told me about that. So I do listen. I did decide when you talk about she decided, I did
Right.
decide that there
Okay.
are certain things that I want and that I need, and that in order to make that happen, I have to be consistent
Yeah.
in certain practices. So I know that's your space.
And also, Joyce, the reason why I encourage journaling is because in your journal, there are things that you can say in your journal that you may not want to say to anybody else. You may feel
Mm,
embarrassed, you may feel
yes.
intimidated, but you can write on the paper the things that you truly want to say. And it's good for us to get those thoughts, those words out and put them on paper. And not because you're trying to be ugly about anything, but we just need to write down really what we're feeling and not try to package it up in a nice little presentation because we're worried about what somebody else is thinking. Nobody's going to
Right.
see that journal but you. So say what you're saying. And then I always encourage, say what you're going to say, but then also, like we say when somebody comes to us with a problem. I was just in a meeting the other day, and the young lady, and this is how I think too, don't just come to me with a whole lot of problems if you're not going to come with a solution. So I noticed that when I journal, that's really the way that I journal. I may say a whole lot of stuff. I'm writing, smoke is coming from my ink pen or pencil, but at the end I try to come up with at least 2 or 3 points on why I'm thankful, or what was it, that I'm thankful for that day. And then also, what steps am I going to implement to help myself, to, if it's a situation that I'm trying to get out of, or if it's I'm trying to disconnect from something, or if I have lowered my boundaries that I put in place, any of those things, what am I going to do to recalibrate for my better good? So
I
that's going to be
love
important.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And interestingly enough, you would mention about the boundaries, because I want to touch on that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to acknowledge what you shared though about being an author and sharing your story. And congratulations to you
Thank
and all
you.
of you for being a best-selling author.
Thank
Um,
you.
you mentioned that about the boundaries. Now, see, people can't see you because this is an audio recording, but I saw you before we got started.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the same shirt because I bought the shirt from you. What
Mm-hmm.
does your shirt say? And tell us about about its meaning, because you have some t-shirts, a line of t-shirts. So tell us
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Yeah, well, this particular shirt, I wear it at least twice a week. And it says, "Boundaries are my superpower." And then it has the name of my business, The Well Station. And it really is. Um, I don't know. I don't know how, or sometimes I don't understand. So I have some girlfriends that they're like, how do you put these boundaries up? Or so, for example, I'm not a telephone person. Um, and I find that sometimes people try to push you into different things. And
Yes, Lord.
so they want you to have a conversation. Well, part of my boundary is, especially after 7 o'clock, you're not going to get me on the phone, not to have a conversation.
Mm,
Now I may
yes.
text you,
Right.
but as far as having a conversation, no, because I also, in addition to my business, I'm a manager for a hospitality company, And so
Mhm.
I'm often having to communicate with a lot of people. And I know people don't really believe this, but I really am an introvert. Not that I'm shy, but I have to have my time where I retreat and then recalibrate and build myself or refuel myself. And I know that, or I'm no good to myself, nor to others that I'm communicating or interacting with. And as things change in your life or situations change, your boundaries may change. So, for example, when I first started my business, my oldest daughter, she was gone. I think she had moved, she was gone to college, and then she got married. But it was my husband and my youngest daughter, and she was a teenager, maybe junior high, going into teenage years. And so one of the boundaries that I had was I did not, I would not go to have any meetings or any events on certain days because I wanted to have my presence in my home. And so it could be 2 to 3 days through the week that I would not take any meetings in the evenings nor go to any events because I wanted to be here at home. And people didn't understand that. I would say, well, that doesn't
Mm,
work for
okay.
me. It doesn't work for my
Mhm.
home. It doesn't work for my household. My husband and I, we do a lot of things together. So that's my
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
just to be attentive to my husband and to my daughter. That's a
Right. Right.
boundary. And
Mhm.
what I would do is I would look in my calendar. So we're going to say someone called me for, they want to set up an event or a meeting. And the first thing I'm going to do is grab my calendar. If I already have 2 to 3 things through that week and it doesn't allow for me to be at home for 3 days or so, then I would not schedule it. Okay. We would have to move it to the next week.
Right.
Also, a
Right.
boundary that I used to have also was on Sundays. We're not talking about anything on Sunday because that would be the whole time. Either we're going to church and I'm with my family, or it's just my time just to chill out and do what I want to do. But
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can't call me for any appointments. Even if someone sent me a text, I'm not responding until Sunday. I mean until Monday. And people would know that. And now my life has changed a bit. So now, my daughters are grown. It's just my husband and I. I'm no longer a caregiver. So my life has changed. So what I had to do, Joyce, with so most recently, I've been on a journey for a whole year. My husband and I were caregivers for my grandparents. We
Mhm.
moved them in with
Right.
us, and both of them have now transitioned. And actually,
Mhm.
my grandmother, she transitioned a year ago as of last month. And so I
Oh
was on this,
wow.
yeah, so I was
I
on
didn't
this
realize
whole
it'd been that
journey.
long.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. It seemed like it was just
No.
a few months ago. But
Yeah.
I was on this whole journey of discovering who I am now as just a wife, a mother to grown daughters, and no longer a caregiver. Because one of the things my husband and I discovered is we've been a caregiver for 14 years or maybe a little more. So now this is a whole new world. And during that time, actually, when I was taking care of my grandparents, I resigned from, nonprofit boards that I was a part of. I resigned from nonprofit activities or organizations I was a part of. And, folks were trying to get me to come back and, join and things like that. But I knew that I needed that year to discover who I was so that when I'm ready to move forward. I knew what I am taking on and what I'm not taking on. So I kept saying
Right.
no.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I could see the expression in, what do you mean no? Because a lot of times people just want to jump in and you know, during the grieving process, sometimes you just want a distraction. Well, I knew that I wanted a different way of grieving than I did when my mom passed away. And so that's
Mhm.
why I was intentional this year. And I probably had several boundaries, within that year. And so now, there are things that or boundaries that I have implemented because they serve my life now. So one of them is, I'm only taking a certain amount of coaching clients, or I'm only coaching on certain days, things like that. But that's so that I can support myself and be successful in my self-care. And I just recommend that sometimes, people, like I said, they take offense to it. But Joyce, when you're having a nervous breakdown, when you're burned out, when you're having health challenges, when you are so confused that you don't know if you're coming or going, when you're overloaded with too many tasks, when you have negative people that have attached themselves to you, nobody's going to be around to support you.
Mm,
Even if you have a spouse. My
yes,
husband
yes.
is a very supportive spouse. But when I was in the grieving process with my mom, and I'm crying on the way home, or I'm crying in the middle of the night, he had no idea. So really, it's only you and God that's able to support you. So
Mm.
you have to implement things in your life that are truly going to support your well-being and your self-care. So I'm unapologetic.
I'm here for it. I am
Yeah.
so here
Yeah.
for it. Congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Look, maintain the
Mhm.
boundaries at all costs. And it's all right if people are offended. I
Yeah.
often say, because I've certainly had to put up some boundaries, and people don't always appreciate them and don't understand them. And
Hmm.
everyone feels special,
Right,
that all
right,
the
right,
things, right? And
right.
so I have shared on more than one occasion that these boundaries are as much of a big deal for you as they are for me.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if I show up in any other way other than what you are desiring, then that's going to be problematic. And if you're forcing me to show up now and I'm not in a position to show up now and I do it
Hmm.
anyway, it's going to be
Hmm.
bad for everyone.
Yes.
So, the boundaries are for me and they
Hmm.
protect me, but it also protects you too, because I want you to
Yes.
still like me, love me, support me, want to work with me, all the things, right? I don't want
Right,
no bad
right,
reviews, just all of it.
right.
So
Hmm.
we have to understand and respect the boundaries. And I think people who do respect you may not
They
like,
respect.
but they will
Hmm.
respect the
Respect your
boundaries in which you
boundaries.
set. Yep, they
Yes, they
absolutely
will.
will. And if
Hmm.
they don't, shame on them.
Right, right. And that's what
So,
I realized is those that don't understand your boundaries, it's because they don't have any either. They're used to
mm,
just doing whatever they like to do when they want to do it. But if you tell me, Liz, you know what? I only do this, or Liz, this is my reading time from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Guess what, Joyce? I'm not going to contact you during that time. And I'm going to understand. If I do contact you, it's a push. I may send you a text, but I'm going to understand that Joyce is not going to respond to me between 3 and 6. And I'm going to be all right with that. And if it takes Joyce the next day to respond, I'm okay with it because I understand boundaries because I have boundaries myself. So only those who don't have any, they don't understand it. Yeah.
That's good.
That's what I found. Yeah.
We could wrap up the podcast with that right there. But I got two more questions for you.
That's
I
okay.
have two other questions, but
Yeah.
that is a word. That is a
Yeah.
word. And
Hmm.
people that don't understand them is because they don't have them
Right.
themselves.
They don't have them themselves. Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna switch gears then a bit
Okay.
and ask if you have any events that are coming up or any products or promotions that you want to promote at this time.
Well, I do. I created a master class. It's actually the She Decided master class, and it's really an introduction to those self-care packages that I shared with you. And I'm excited because it's actually next month. We had a session last month, but we're also going to have another one on July 26th. And you can always go to wellstation.org/ she decided. And the information is there for the masterclass. And so I'm really, really thrilled about it. I can see how it has made impact with the women that I've shared the information with. So that's great. We also, I told you I'm gonna roll out that the tea as well. That's probably going to be a next month. Also, Joyce, you know that I'm releasing a digital magazine that you are going to be one of the contributors. So I hope to get that out before the end of the month. And I know that we've
Okay.
been delayed. There have been some roadblocks, but hey, we're going to release it. So I'm excited about that as well. But yeah, it's some really, really good things that are coming. And I'm so excited about the women that are receiving results. It's not even all about, you know, how folks are just and I'm not gonna say that. I'm going to say is that you know how sometimes people are just having things but not really
Mm-hmm.
looking for impact. I'm really looking to support or excited about the support that women are receiving by the products and the services that we're rolling out with the well station. And so if it's not going to work, I'm not going to continue to do it. I want to make sure that I'm truly supporting women on this self-care and wellness journey because we have so many distractions. We have so much that is maybe negative that's attacking us as women. We have so many challenges in the workplace and in the business place. If you know, if you're a business owner, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women that are connected to me, they do run businesses, and so you know, I understand the challenges, and a lot of them, you know, some are doing it full time, you know, running their business full time, but a lot of them are just like me. Like I said, you know, I work in corporate America, but I also have a successful business as well. And so that's a lot to have to juggle also. So yeah, I just want to make sure that we are truly making impact.
And you are. And you are. I,
Well,
I,
thank
I,
you.
I feel that you know that, but I certainly wanted to lift that up again and say that
Well, thank you.
you truly represent, what I wanted this podcast to be about in terms of what it means to live the life that you desire and deserve, and
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that you can do that at any age. Like there's no restrictions on that. It's a lot of the beliefs that we put on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and not being intentional about setting the boundaries and blocking the noise and the distractions and really getting in touch with ourselves, and what does intimacy with self look like.
Right.
In Because so oftentimes when we think about this self-care and self-love and all the things, that we're looking at it from the lens of what it is that everyone else has the expectation for, and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily what do we want and need for ourselves. And when is the
Right.
last time that we've actually taken a step back
Right.
and reflected on what it is that we need, want, and desire for ourselves as women? So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you have a business that you so very intentionally set time and space and energy for, so that
Mm-hmm.
people are pampered, they are served, they are affirmed, that you are creating spaces that are intentional. If they, if it's not going to work and it's not showing up to serve, then you won't
Right.
do it. Like, I
Right.
know that of you. You will not do anything that does not have some sort of real, tangible impact, not for fluff, not for show, but for
Thank you.
actual servant leadership. And so I'm grateful to you and our friendship, our relationship, our
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood. I know that I can reach out to you,
Yes.
and you will respond within your boundaries. But when you do, you're going to respond back in the ways that is fulfilling and helpful and supportive and uplifting for me. And you do this with all the women that you are engaged with. So,
Well, thank you.
having said that, of course, having said that, I'm wrap up the podcast by asking you, first of all, if there are any main points or words of encouragement, any tools, resources. You're providing the tools and resources with your business
Mm-hmm.
already. But if there are any other main points or encouraging words that you would have for our audience, that they can take away from our Create Yourself conversation today.
I just believe that what I would want to leave with your audience is Women, we have to be intentional with ourselves. We can no longer say, yeah, I'm all right, or everything is all right. If somebody asks you, how are you? Be real with, I mean, even if you don't want to tell them, be real with yourself, even after they ask the question. Like if you're like me, I'm very private. So, I may not just tell someone what's going on, but you also need to sit and reflect with that. And if you know that there's something going on, then and that you may need some professional support, we're gonna say some therapy. I always tell my clients, you may have to have the therapist in your phone, because therapy is
Mm,
maintenance. That's part
mm-hmm.
of my story that I talk about in the book, in the Trailblazers, is that in my family, we didn't talk about therapy. We talked about, or, you were encouraged just to pray about it or take it to the pastor. Well, you know what? Your pastor probably has a therapist or needs a therapist as well. So,
Yes.
just be intentional with yourself. Joyce and I were talking before we came live, that, it's more than just going to get a massage. It's more than just getting your nails done. It's deeper than that, and we have to start going deeper and not just on the surface level. Sometimes it's just good just to be quiet, just to sit in your thoughts so that you can process what's going on. Or if you need to talk, just talk in your journal, things like that. Sometimes I know what I have been doing in the last year and a half, and my husband and I were talking about this, is of course, every morning I'm going to pray and meditate. I'm going to pray and meditate midday, and I'm going to pray and meditate before I go to bed. But one of the things that in every one of the prayer and meditation times, I say to the Spirit is that anything that is not or should not be connected to me, please remove it. So I've had, people
Yes,
that I was
yes.
friends with, that the relationship has dissolved, and I'm okay with that. Why? Because He's, answering my prayer. So there are some things, some habits that may need to be released. So whatever it is, you take the time. Only you will know. And everybody doesn't like the same thing when it comes to self care. Like I'm a person
Mhm.
that I love to read. Reading is my thing. But I have some of my girlfriends say, "Girl, I don't want to read a book. I don't want to do that." So
No.
whatever it is,
Our
and
girlfriend.
right, right. Do you like to read, Joyce? Are you the person?
Uh, Not a whole
Okay.
lot.
Right.
I'm doing like self-development. I'm really
Yeah.
on that right now, but
Yeah. But what is it
no,
that you like to do?
I love to color.
Okay.
I
And
love,
see,
yeah.
right. Joyce loves to color. I love to color, but it may be some women who do not. And so what I find also, Joyce, is when I'm meeting with clients, a lot of times we as women, we don't know what we like. We
Mhm.
just, we just going
Right.
along with whatever our girlfriend likes or what somebody told us that we liked. And then also, when you're in different seasons of your life, those things may change as well. So I'm in the season of I want to read and I want to travel and experience other things. More than 5 years ago, I would not travel by myself. I had to have my husband. I was fearful it was something going on, but I went to Jamaica and was a speaker there and realized, hey, I'm all the way in
Mhm.
Jamaica. I can push through this. That whole trip now, I was working on myself because I knew that I would possibly get anxiety. But once I
Yes.
made it through that trip and did all of that work and development with myself while I was on that trip, I've been traveling. My husband can go, he can go, and if he can't, he can't.
All
But
right.
I've been but
I
I
love
have
it.
been, I've been traveling and experiencing some things. So that's my thing. But I have some girlfriends, they don't want to travel. Whatever your thing is, I suggest, or I leave with your audiences, write out 3 to 5 things that you love, that you know will support you in your self-care, and embrace those. And remember to take your 15 to 30 minutes each day to, give yourself that wellness and self-care time.
Thank you so much, Liz, for
You're
that.
welcome.
This has been a wonderful, wonderful podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and share with us and pour into our wells, our individual wells. Um,
Mhm.
I will, and I always share this after during the podcast that all of our guests, their information is located underneath the bio, the flyer, all the information where these podcasts are housed, shares information about the particular guest. So, having said that, you don't mind sharing with the people, which it
Yeah.
will be in print, but please share with the people how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can always go to thewellstation.org. And as soon as you come up, there should be a box that jumps up on the website where you can join our mailing list, which is great because we have active emails. I've been trying to be intentional to send out something on Mondays and Thursdays. So Monday is going to be a motivational email, and on Thursdays there's going to be something that's going to support you as well. Also, I mentioned the She Decided Masterclass. Now, this one is wellstation.org/ She Decided. And you can go there to sign up for the masterclass and get yourself registered. And on social media, if you're on Instagram, I am Elizabeth Dorse Merriwether. And my main name is Dorse. I think that's, hold on. No, on Instagram, I am under Elizabeth Merriweather and the number one. And on Facebook, it is Elizabeth Dorse Merriweather. So I'll be happy for you for us to connect.
And again, I'm going to make sure that all of that is listed. So all you have to do is hover over the hyperlinks and click right on them. You'll go right to her website. You can go right to her social media handles. You can go right to wellstation.org/ She Decided so that you can take advantage of the masterclass. And I'm going to lift up that if you decided you're going to type her name in, please keep in mind that Meriwether is Merriwether. That A in Meriwether does not exist for
Thanks,
Liz.
Joyce.
So if
Thank
you
you.
put that in, you will not get the same Liz, okay? So with that, I want to thank you for being our guest this week. Thank you so much for pouring into us and sharing with us, as I know your schedule. I know it's busy,
Thank you.
but I
I
appreciate you making
appreciate you
time.
inviting
Of course, of
me.
course. And of course, thank you to our listeners for tuning in today because without you, I could not do this show. So I love hosting this podcast each and every week and bringing you amazing guests like Liz. And I look forward to you continuing on with joining us. Continue to share the podcast with others in your circles of responsibilities. And remember, go forward and create the life you desire and deserve. And please make sure that you're certain to understand that you can do this at any age. Let's continue to transition, transform, and thrive together.